Today in math class we looked at shrinking patterns this time. We dealt with some big numbers, which made it a little bit more difficult. So we have a shrinking pattern that starts at 3,000, goes to 2,900, and then 2,800. So this pattern is shrinking by 100 each time. They're supposed to extend the pattern 3 times. So that is just subtracting by 100. And then the tricky part, what is likely to be the 20th term of this pattern? Some students wrote 20 terms, which is perfectly fine. It's a long way to do it. I showed them and encouraged them to use multiplication. Take this number 20, multiply it by 100, which they are allowed to use a calculator because you're getting big numbers. 2,000 is what you get there. And then they have to subtract that amount from either here, or they can create, like they did yesterday, a zero term, which is 3,100. So if they just subtract 2,000 from 3,000 like this, what they're actually finding, if you work it out, is the 21st term, because it starts at 1 instead of starting at 0. And if they do that term 0 and do this, then they're going to get 1,100, which will be the 20th term. So the 20th term is 1,100. Someone who gets an answer of 1,000, that's a very good answer. We'll do one more like that. Actually, this one gave some students some trouble today because just getting from 1,000 to the 900ths tricks some people up. So we have a pattern, we have big numbers, but it's going down by 2s. So once we get here, the next number is going to be 1,000. And then here's where it gets tricky, 998, 996. So just that part alone was a little bit tricky for many students, which is perfectly normal. And then if we want to find the 20th term, again, we're going down by 2. So we're going to take this number and multiply it by 2, because we're going down by 2. That's going to get us to 40. Instead of using 1,008, we're going to use what would be term 0, which would be 1,010. So I take 1,010, subtract 40 from that, and that is going to get me to 970. So the answer here would be 970. Do the other side. This is very similar to a question from yesterday. Your 10th term is 35. It's a shrinking pattern, so this number has to be a lot bigger than this number. And so you can just go from here and go up. So you're working backwards. I could go up by 5s. I could go up by 1s. I could go up by 2s. I could go up by 3s. I'm going to do 5s. I saw some students do that today. Something like that. Describe everything you can about the shrinking pattern. The two things I keep reminding students, always tell me where it starts. And always tell me what the rule is. So in this case, subtract, or use the word subtract or decrease by 50 each time. Anything else they say beyond that is great. What's the next term? What's the next 3 terms? What's the 10th term? Every number ends with 0 would be interesting information. And then here, last question, multiple choice. Which number is probably the 40th term in this pattern? We're going to do the same thing we've been doing. We're going to create a term here, like a term 0. We're going to notice that this pattern is going down by 20. So we're going to add 20 to here, which is going to get us to 1230. We're going to multiply this number 40 by the pattern rule, which is 20. So we're going to go 40 times 20, which is 800. And we're going to take our 1230 number and we're going to subtract 800 from there, and we're going to get 430. And that is today's homework. Have a great night.